Hello again, friends. It's James here from the Sawyer Family Reviews channel and ActionFeatures.net, bringing you another Marvel Select review. This time around, it's the God of Thunder and his new friend Tree, Thor and Groot from Avengers Infinity War. Let's check him out. Alright, let's take a look at Thor and Groot in the package first, before we move on and take a look at them out of the package. It's the standard Marvel Select packaging. It's thick, it's got a lot of bubble room. They do this so that all the packaging kind of remains consistent across multiple figures in a wave, or multiple lines from Diamond Select. They all kind of look the same, and I appreciate that. I like that there's a consistent packaging across multiple licenses, throughout lines, they all match. It's neat to get updates on packaging too, but I do like the consistency, especially if you're displaying these carded, that they all look the same on your wall. So you've got Thor over here and Groot kind of tucked along on the side. The sticker in the front's kind of cutting off a little bit of Groot, which is the Avengers Infinity War logo sticker. Stormbreaker, a bunch of extra hands, Groot's little arcade game, that's all inside there. Then we've got Thor and Groot along the side here. The side panel, which always features art, so that if you had these all sitting on a shelf, you could quickly see which one's which. Artwork of Thor and Groot from the Avengers Infinity War film. Interesting to note that the outfit that Thor is wearing on the side is not the figure. The figure is after he's been powered up and he's got Stormbreaker. This is before he gets Stormbreaker. If memory serves, this is when they're going off to build Stormbreaker. Again, with the back of the package, that's the sleeveless, no cape art on Thor. Looks like this might be a blend of art and a picture, because that looks like a picture of Chris Hemsworth and the rest looks like art. And then an image of Groot playing his video game. Thor and Groot, also available, Captain America and Spider-Man. And then we've got a brief write-up here, which I will now read to you. As the Avengers and their allies have continued to protect the world from threats too large for any one hero to handle, new dangers emerge from the cosmic shadows. Thanos, a despot? I don't know how to say that word. A despot of intergalactic infamy. His goal is to collect all 6 Infinity Stones, artifacts of unimaginable power, and use them to inflict his twisted will on all of reality. Everything the Avengers have fought for has led up to this moment. The fate of Earth and existence itself has never been more uncertain. These fully articulated 7-inch scale action figures of Thor and Groot are based on their appearance in Avengers Infinity War. That's tough to say. And feature multiple points of articulation, sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios, and an Avengers logo there. Alright, now that I've stammered through that back description, let's get him out of there and take a look at him loose. Okay, now that we have both Thor and Groot out of the box, standing here together, I'm going to immediately take Groot out of the picture. I want to focus on each one of these individually, because they are two totally unique figures. This isn't like the old Marvel Select Green Goblin, where it had that pack-in Peter Parker that was just a solid chunk of an accessory. Groot is a fully realized figure, articulated, sculpted, painted, very nice figure. He's actually my favorite of the set. So I'm going to move Groot off to the side, and we'll talk about him in a minute. And let's just focus on Thor to begin with. Now, just because Groot is my favorite doesn't mean I don't like the Thor. I do like this Thor a lot. There's just a couple of little minor things that I wish they would have handled a little differently. Okay, so let's just jump in and we'll get to that as we go. To start things off, Thor includes relaxed hands on the figure, and I actually have one of the gripping hands going right now, and that's just for the ease of working behind the camera and not having to pull out a hand to show you how he holds Stormbreaker when we get to that. So, there is a set of relaxed hands on him. So right now the left hand is relaxed, the right hand is gripping, but he does have a right relaxed hand, and then he has a left gripping hand. Now, the gripping hands are different than the rest of the hands in that they hinge up and down. Most of the hands hinge in and out, but the 2 gripping hands hinge up and down. And that makes for ease of posing with Stormbreaker, I think. So you can have him kind of holding it down or tilting it up. That's why these gripping hands have articulation going in the opposite direction than all the other hands. He also includes a pair of fist hands, and like I said, those hinge in and out. And then a pair of I don't know, super tense hands maybe, or grabbing hands, and those again hinge in and out. Now all of these hands have sort of a dirty paint job to them, and it kind of makes sense for the scene in the movie, because I mean he's just been through a whole lot. He's not exactly super clean at that point. He's fighting in the dirt, he's sweaty, you know, so all these hands have sort of that dirty, sweaty paint job to them. The face also has a bit of the dirty, sweaty look to it. So I think that's what they're going for, is not a super clean, well-kept Thor. He's been through some fighting, and that's why all the skin tones have sort of that sweaty, dirty look. He also includes Stormbreaker, of course, and I really, really like the way they handled Stormbreaker. The paint job's very nice. The silver they used is really shiny, and it's not like chromed or anything, but it's a nice shine to it. And then the handle itself has got a nice black wash all over it, so it really does mimic wood, like it kind of looks like it came from Groot. And I'll pull Groot back in again, and you can see that the coloring matches, the shading matches, since Groot, it's a piece of Groot. And that's really well handled, the Stormbreaker itself. The only thing that kind of stinks, and this is one of the gripes, is he doesn't hold it all that well. Since it's so skinny in portions, you got to really move it all the way down into that gripping hand to get a good grip on it. And even then, it's not, see how it kind of falls down? You've really got to kind of push it all the way to the end to get a tight grip on it. And there we go. Like the hands just, they can't support the weight when it gets that far on. So you really got to do some odd posing to try and get him to hold Stormbreaker in such a way that it's not the hands flopping, or it's falling down in the hand, or it's like choking up on a bat or something. You can get some nice two-handed poses out of him thanks to his articulation, where he's kind of holding Stormbreaker like that. But the hands are a gripe for me. I wish there was a tighter set of hands that could grasp Stormbreaker in a different spot that made it a little bit more natural to hold. I didn't want them to compromise the look of Stormbreaker. I like that it is skinny. I just wish there was a tighter hand for holding it. Okay, so let's talk about his articulation here, since we're kind of addressing that a bit right now with the way the hands move. The ankles are on a rocker, so you've got a nice side-to-side movement there, and then they hinge up and down. There's a good range of movement on those. He's got a double knee joint, and I'm going to try and swing out. Yeah, the hip will go that far, so you can see how far the double knee joint goes. It's tight, but it goes all the way flat, so that's nice. Then he's got a swivel at the mid-hip. It swivels all the way around. And then he's got the old style DCU, like the DCUC style Marvel Select joint, where it hinges out all the way like that, and then it swivels back and forth. Now you can get it all the way up to there, but this cape is really hard and thick, so you can't get it much further back than that. And actually the hip, his butt, there's no good way to say it, his butt doesn't let it go back any further than that anyway. So it's not actually the cape that's hindering that, it's his rear end, because it's sculpted back there. So you can't get much further back with that articulation. Then he's got no hip joint, no waist joint at all, because this is all a fully sculpted torso. But he does have a mid-torso swivel. It just doesn't offer a lot of movement. And that time, I think that is because of the cape. He can't go very far back. He can't go very far forward. He gets a little bit of side to side, but this mid-torso joint really isn't doing much for you. Then his shoulders, they hinge out, and there's a little bit of ratcheting going on there. So you can get them up like that and down, and then they swivel all around, and that's not really hindered by the cape at all. Then he's got a swivel where his elbow goes into his bicep. That goes all like that, and then he hinges up and down. And I do like the way this joint looks, because once you get it really flat, there's a flat panel inside there, and it kind of blends in with the arm. So I do like the way that works. It looks pretty natural when you have it down. You almost lose the joint when you have it all the way down like that. Then he's got swivels where the wrists peg in, and then like I explained before, most of the hands hinge in and out, but the gripping hands hinge up and down. And then he has a ball-jointed neck. This is not one of those ones where it hinges up and down and then swivels. This is an actual true ball joint on the neck, and he gets some really good movement on the neck, which is good because this cape does seem like it's so thick that it makes it hard to get a lot of good posing out of him, because you can't get really wide stances because the cape will stop you. So the articulation in the head does make it so that you can at least get some more, some more attitude out of different sculpts by tilting it down, tilting it up. So that really movable neck joint does help in that regard. As far as paint goes, the figure itself I think is well painted. There's not a lot of paint apps on him, but there is a nice sort of grayish wash all over the legs. There's a little bit of silver highlights here on the boots. There's little tiny, almost like silver lightning bolts in all of the round chest spots where the lightning effect happened in the movie. And I do like the way that looks. I think those are really sharply painted. The silver used on the armor on his arms is very nice. We already talked about the dirty wash on the skin on the hands. I do like the paint job on this face a lot. I did see a couple online where they weren't painted that well, but mine has a nice paint job. There's a little bit of extra paint above the beard, and some people are not really enjoying that. I wonder if I can zoom in on this just a little bit. Like, as usual, you'll be able to check a gallery if you hit the info section below if you're watching this on YouTube, and you'll get a better look at how Thor looks up close. But you can see there's a little bit of extra paint application right above the thickness of the beard. And I kind of like that. Some people don't, but I like the way it kind of staggers it down so his beard kind of gets fuller as it goes down. He's also got these nice paint lines in his hair from his Thor Ragnarok haircut, where they've cut lines into his hair. So they've accomplished that by doing sort of skin tone paint on top of the head paint. And that matches well. I think it's well done. One gripe is that the eye color is, I think they're both blue. They're not mismatched on the eyes, which is what it should really be, since he's got the false eye at this point. I do like the scarring on the face, and I like the wash on the hair, where it's dark brown with sort of a blondish wash on top, but I wish that the eye had been painted differently. So, my gripes are, the cape is a little too solid. It makes hard for posing, into dynamic posing. Let me kind of back this up a little bit here and bring it back down. The wrist joints are a pretty big gripe, and the way that the hand isn't tight enough. But other than that, I think it is a solid Thor. In my opinion, he's probably the weakest of the Marvel Select Infinity War figures. Let's bring in Cap, who's my favorite of the bunch. I didn't bring Iron Spider over to the picture table, so sorry about that, guys. Cap is my favorite of the bunch. Iron Man at Mark 50 is really nice, too. Thor is, in my opinion, the weakest of the big three. But, thankfully, it's not just Thor in this set. Oh, I do want to do a couple more comparisons here for you guys. Because last time somebody asked me to do a few more comparisons, size-wise, with some other stuff. So I'm going to throw a couple things in here with Thor. Here is the only Thanos we've really got that works with Marvel Select right now. And that is the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Thanos, which this is actually the 3-pack version. So that's him with him in there. Here is the Marvel Select Ragnarok Thor with the Marvel Legends head on there. In case you want to do an unhelmeted version of Thor, it works quite well. Of the two head sculpts, I think that Diamond Select got it better than Marvel Legends did. Even with the eye mess up and the sort of sweatier paint job, I think this head sculpt is better than the Marvel Legends version. Again, this is the Diamond Select, and their Marvel Select body, though. Let's move those guys out of the way. How about next to Ragnarok Hulk? So you can see the size difference on those two. And what else we got sitting around? Here he is next to a Marvel Legends. That's that Thor, that head I used from the 2-pack with Valkyrie. So you can see the size difference between the Marvel Legends version and the Marvel Select version. And then last, here's just a random older Marvel Select figure, the War Machine from Iron Man 2, which is, in my opinion, still a very solid figure. And I've misplaced his little face mask somewhere over here. Well, it's around somewhere. Alright, so I think that covers all of the size comparisons we want to do on him. Let's bring in the Teenage Groot real quick so you can see how they look together, since they come together in the set. And then we'll move Thor out and just focus on Groot now. Now, Groot, when I first saw him, I was already impressed. I'm going to zoom this in just a bit. I was like, wow, that's a really nice Groot sculpt, and he looks like he's articulated. That's a nice pack-in. It's almost like it's another whole nother figure that they're throwing in with this other figure, and it really is. So, at the time this was sold, the Marvel Select pricing was still at $25. So basically you're getting two figures for $25, and that is awesome. If this was sold by Toy Biz, by Hasbro for Marvel Legends, it would have been all by itself and it would have been a $20 figure. The Thor would have been by itself, it would have been a $20 figure. This figure is impressive. First, let's talk about his accessory. He comes with this little video game. It's well painted. It's in a light blue paint with a black screen and little red dots on it. He holds it well in his hand, or you can even do like the two-handed playing a game thing. I've done a picture of that. I'm not going to try and work it while I'm behind the camera. He is a very nice sculpt, very detailed. There's lots of layers in the wood. There's little pieces, like there's a little tiny bit of wood coming out of the back of the neck. There's a little bit coming forward, almost like a little spit curl or hair. And even inside the head, there's rings of wood and a little bit of growth inside there, like a couple little twigs and branches that started to grow inside there. The sculpt is very impressive. There's a lot of character in the face. It reminds me almost like of a sad E.T. face or something. I'm very impressed by the sculpt on this. And the paintwork is also very nice. It's got this nice black wash, but it's not just that. There's also like a greenish wash in the feet. The eyes are painted with this blackish brown gloss on them that really give some life to those eyes. Even though it's black, you can see like a shine in them, like the light catches it really well. And again, there's some more green wash up top. Just, man, so nice. So nice a job on this figure. Let's talk about his articulation, because that is one of the most impressive elements on this guy. He's so skinny, but he has so many joints, and they work so well. He's got rocker feet, which at first you don't even know that these are a separate piece. When you first look at it, they blend in so well with the sculpt, but they are rocker, and they do hinge up and down. So you've got a lot of movement just in those feet that you can barely even tell are feet. Then he has a double knee joint, and that goes all the way back. And then he's got a mid-thigh swivel, and that swivels all the way around. And then he's got the traditional Marvel Select / DCUC style where they hinge. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm totally wrong. It is an actual ball joint inside there. So there's a barbell inside the pelvis, and these mount on there, so you can get about that far apart, and then they hinge, swivel all around. Nice movement on those hips. Then he's got a mid-torso swivel, which is all over the place with the range of movement. That's cool. It makes him look like he has a little pot belly. He goes back like that. And this comes down. The way it cuts down, there's actually a little sculpting inside here, and you can see where these two kind of meet, but then they move forward, and you can see another layer under there. It's almost like breaking off a little bit of a plant. You could see like where you're cracking the layers or the bark or something. Man, so impressive. Then he's got shoulders that swivel all around, and they hinge out. He's got these little tiny shoulder pad armor things, and those restrict it from going up too far, so you can't go all the way up with the arm, but the look is really neat. It's almost like he's armoring up on his shoulders. Then he's got a swivel where the elbows insert, and then they hinge up and down. And then he's got swivels where the wrists meet the arms, and then they hinge in and out. That one's a little stuck. Yeah, just be real careful when you're first moving to some of these joints. This one's a little stuck for me. I'm going to have to heat it up. But everything else, once you get past that first initial scary crackage of paint or drying, just be really careful. Once they're actually moving, though, they're moving great. And then he's got a ball-jointed head. It gets some good all-around movement. Man, I love this Groot. This Groot is worth the price of admission. Even if you don't dig the Thor, this Groot is awesome. You get a bonus Thor with it. They should have called this pack Groot with Thor. Doing some comparisons. Here is Groot next to the... Look at that, the way the camera's doing. Let me back it up here. Here is Groot next to the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Groot. This is, I think, the second release, the Toys R Us version where he's smiling, maybe? I think that was that one. I can't remember. There he is next to him. I'll move him out for a second. Here he is next to my slightly customized Marvel Select Star-Lord. He's got on the Marvel Legends long-sleeved coat and the guns, but other than that, it's the Marvel Select version. And then over here, we'll put Groot. I'm sorry, Rocket. So you can see how they all stagger next to each other. Just like I feel like Rocket was the highlight of the Rocket and Drax set, I feel like the Groot is the highlight of the... I keep saying this wrong. I think the Rocket was the highlight of the Rocket and Star-Lord set, and I think Groot is the highlight of the Groot Thor set. Alright, I think that covers all the comparisons and all the stuff they come with. Overall, really cool set. Like I said, there's a couple of minor gripes on Thor, but Groot is an excellent figure, and he kind of makes up for the shortcomings on Thor for a overall awesome value on this set. You can find it online still for about 25 bucks. I mean, I keep seeing it pop in and out on Amazon. I think Entertainment Earth has got it in and out, and now comic shops are getting sort of a second shipment. I think the first shipment was allocated, and now the second shipments are starting to show up. So your local comic shop, I always say try there first. Try there first to see if they've got it, and then hit some places online. You could still get it for about 22 to 25 bucks plus shipping. And at that point, great value. These two figures for that amount of money is an awesome value. I think that's it for this one. I wanted to say we're probably going to tackle Iron Spider next, but I may actually go back and do an older Marvel Select. I don't know. If you want to see a certain Marvel Select figure, leave it in the comments. I have a ton of them floating around that I've just been waiting on doing reviews for until I'm back in the habit of doing reviews. And so the more interaction you guys give me and tell me which ones you want me to do, the more likely I'll keep going and trying to get one of these up a week. All right. Again, if you like the videos, please click like and subscribe and notify. Leave a comment below. Do you like this pack? Do you have this pack? What do you want to see next? Hit the info section for a gallery, and I'll also have some links on there to order the figures. I'll put a link for the Amazon and for Entertainment Earth. Yeah, I guess that wraps it up. See you guys next time.